this weekend at Flyweight. It's an all-Brazilian showcase between the number 35 Tapology ranked fighter. It is Dawson's brother, Francisco Figueiredo, taking on half the fighter, I guess, in terms of Tapology rankings. Your 70th ranked Flyweight fighter, Daniel da Silva, Miojo Lacerda. It's very hard to find information on Daniel da Silva on the UFC's website and others because it's not that it's that hard. It's just if you go look for it now, it was always Daniel Lacerda. It was easy to find him on Instagram. It was easy to find his videos. And then all of a sudden it's Daniel da Silva. But even on the UFC's website, it's like Daniel da Silva. You know, it's almost like a 404 error code. Like nothing's there. It's really weird. But when it comes to this fight, for Daniel da Silva, comes into his UFC debut, relative unknown, I would say, takes on Jeff Molina and gets finished by Jeff Molina. For Francisco Figueiredo, comes in and fights Jerome Rivera, beats Jerome Rivera, and then loses to Melvin Gordon. So really for Francisco, he's the younger brother of Deus de Guerra, so they went with, Davidson's got a cool nickname, he's got a stripe in his hair because of the nickname in the video game, and Francisco went, yeah, you know what? Sniper. You can call me the Sniper. Ooh, Sniper. So, Matt, really weird that they signed Francisco Figueiredo coming off a draw in a fight that I thought that he lost, to then beating Jerome...
But you've never disagreed with a close decision, ever.
To then beating Jerome Rivera, to then losing to Melvin Gordon. Well, he lost a point due to a fence grab. He was all grabby-grab on the fence like Augusto Sakai. And for Daniel da Silva, damn Daniel. I mean, I look at his fighting style, and I should not do this, but I compared a guy that fought a couple of weeks ago to Daniel Lacerda. It was Daniel Santos that fought with a number of different promotions. ACA comes into the UFC and they gave him way too hard of a test off the hop. But Daniel da Silva is an absolute wild man, and he loves to take liberties in his fight, and that's what you can get excited about. Daniel da Silva, a little bit more flashy with his striking than like Joanderson Brito, but not as much of a grappler as Joanderson Brito is, but a lot of fun to watch both of those guys fight.
Exactly. They're on the same level of recklessness in the cage, which for the fans is always a great thing for fighters to have. The weird thing about Francisco Figueiredo is that he fights a lot like his brother, but also not at all at the exact same time. He fights in a similar style. It's like he has the same layup animations, but he doesn't have, like, the finishing ability at the rim, to put it into basketball terms. Like, his striking style, they kind of look the same. The difference is Dawson has ungodly punching power if he touches you, whereas Francisco... It's weird. Like, they're not bad looking. The strikes look really nice. He just doesn't really have the same level of power behind them. And I don't know if it's just he doesn't shift his hips the same way that his brother does. It's just his brother has better technique, I would say, in pretty much every single category.
No way, the champion?
I know, and one of the best fighters in the division's history. But it's just strange for Figueiredo because he likes a lot of body-to-body takedowns. He is good at jiu-jitsu when he's on top, but defensively it does seem to be a bit of a liability for him. I do think if this fight is on the feet, though, he's going to have some success with his countering ability, but I don't think he's so good with his counters that he's going to be able to avoid all the big shots of Daniel da Silva. Lacerda, I guess I'm right either way. But for da Silva, I do think that if he is able to land one of those big shots in the feet, especially early, the fight's just going to keep on going his way as it progresses because Figueiredo is weird. He's a good striker, but he's not someone who's going to go out there and put a pace on you. He's going to kind of let the fight come to him, and if he is going to put a pace on you and try to weaponize his own cardio, he's probably going to use his wrestling and his clinch more than anything. So I do think if Figueiredo decides to fight this fight on the feet, it might be the worst decision for him because with his laid-back style, he does tend to lean a little bit, and if da Silva's going to be throwing a lot of combinations and finish him with his kicks, which we know he likes to do, we could see Figueiredo almost duck into a kick like DC did against John Jones in their second fight.
The weirdest part about it is you look at it for Daniel da Silva, and he's 11-2. Only 2 of his fights have gone past the first round, and one, again, he's able to beat Ceferino to get into the UFC. The other one, the loss to Jeff Molina, coming out of ATS team, and you might go, hey, don't I know somebody that was recently in the UFC but just got released that goes to ATS team? Yeah, you're right. This guy that's cornered a lot of Daniel da Silva fights. It's Alex Oliveira. And not to draw a ton of comparables from them, but da Silva will switch stances, throw more kicks from southpaw, box a little bit more from orthodox. He is a fun guy that way. The thing that scares me in this matchup is he likes to play Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu off his back, and he can get held down. Francisco Figueiredo is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So one of those things you want to watch. And with Damn Daniel, the other thing about him, I like to go in the UFC's Q&A on their website just to see what these people are saying about themselves when asked about themselves. And Daniel da Silva talks a lot about, church. And then he says, you know what? I used to be a casket maker at one point. So, hey, Daniel De Silva. Wow. He's like Oscar on Corner Gas when he makes his own casket. And people from Western Canada are going to light up for that reference. And everybody else in the world's going to go, what show is that? But listen, I love Corner Gas. It's a great show. So it comes to this fight.
That was a casket a Craftsman could be proud of, too.
It was. If I look at the odds for this fight, De Silva open a plus 110. He's minus 117. Odds of flip. Figueiredo open a minus 130. Minus 104. And if we have a look at the Tapology votes, surprise us there to you. I bet enough people are going to mistake Francisco for Dawson. So I'm going to say over under 67.5% Figueiredo.
I'll say under.
I'm going to say under. Ooh, ever so slightly. 539 total votes. 64% Figueiredo, 77% by decision. For the 36% that have De Silva, 67% by decision. These people that vote on Tapology lately, I scratch my head because for a guy that's 11-2 to have like no fights go to decision and then everybody says, yeah, but it's going to go to decision. What are we doing here? So it's weird. The only other loss that De Silva has on his record other than to Jeff Molina, he hurt his shoulder. So it's a shoulder injury, 4 minutes of the first round. Matt, how do you see this one playing out? Because it should be fun while it lasts.
If it goes to decision, Figueiredo. If it ends inside the distance, De Silva. Now, I know I can't use that as my pick, and I'm not going to sit on the fence like that. I could see this being the end of the Francisco Figueiredo train, to be honest with you. I could see him trying to play a little too much with the striking, trying to lean too much, and end up eating a big shot. And for that reason, I do think I'm going to go with Daniel De Silva in this fight. It's not my most confident pick by any means, but I do think his power on the feet really is going to be a big X factor in this fight. And if they do find themselves in really any 50-50 types of exchanges, I heavily favor De Silva in that type of environment.
Oh yeah, Daniel De Silva is a way, way better striker than Francisco Figueiredo. And for Figueiredo, not the highest of output. He doesn't really do much for ground and pound on the ground either, but he does like to wrestle. And Daniel De Silva's defensive wrestling chops are not great. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with Francisco Figueiredo in this one. I think his jiu-jitsu is just that much better than De Silva. But again, if we see one of these fights, like you have, again, Yohan, Lainesse, Gabe Green. If that one plays out at distance, Yohan, Lainesse going to knock out Gabe Green. Probably. In this fight, if Francisco Figueiredo is able to do the weird body lock, trip takedowns, get funky with it, I think he's going to be able to get the win. So we're split on the pick. This should be an interesting one. And the line switching, but the fan vote's not correlating with that. I always find that very interesting. So you let us know down below in the comments section if you have the absolute wild man, Daniel De Silva, to get the win, or if you have steady Eddie younger brother, Francisco Figueiredo. This should be a great one. And headlining this card up a weight class at 135, Rob Font's taking on Chito Vera. That's a can't miss fight, so keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.